If you're a veteran teacher like me and you've been teaching for 5 years or more, then you know the teacher slump is real. So is teacher burnout. If you've ever walked into your classroom and you wonder, my God, why am I here? These kids are not going to learn anything. It's the same thing this year over and over again. I'm not making it a leeway. You want to throw up your hands and give up the towel. But then you ask yourself, is that really what I want to do? Then you know for yourself, if your answer is no, and you still want to teach, but you are in a teacher slump, then today I'm going to talk to you about the things in which you can do to shift your mindset as a teacher. Teacher mindset is everything. The way we think is going to color everything that we do. And yes, it is true. These are not the students from 20 years ago. Trust me, I know. And no, these students are not as motivated to learn as we were. No, they don't have the same values as we did when we were in school. No, they don't have the same values as those first students in which we taught. But yes, we owe our best to these students. As an educator, we're going to have to shift our mindsets. Expectations color everything. What we expect from our students is exactly what they're going to give us. And I know sometimes it can be hard to have high expectations for your students when they're showing you that their expectations for themselves are minimum. But our expectations do matter. They count. When we are shifting our mindset so that we can have a successful classroom, we have to remember that we're going to get what we expect. If we expect the worst, we're going to get the worst. We have to expect our students to perform. We have to expect ourselves to perform. We have to change the way in which we look at our students, the way in which we look at ourselves, the way in which we look at our classroom. And you may be saying, oh my goodness, how can I change the way I'm looking at these students? I'm looking at them. I'm looking at their test scores. I'm looking at their behavior. I want to throw my hands up, call our Heavenly Father, or speak to the universe and say, please come get me. Teacher guys, please come help me now. We have to shift the way we're thinking about our students. We have to change those expectations. We have to come in every day and show them that we expect the best from them and that we expect the best from ourselves.
Before we go any further with this video, if you have not already, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and that you subscribe so I continue to give you more teaching tips and hacks. And I will see you back in the video.
Your students act like you. Truth. Your students act like you, and they're going to mirror your behavior and your expectations. For several years, I taught 5th and 6th grade. I looped my students. By the time my students went over to the middle school teachers could tell me, Miss Shields, we know your kids. I said, how do you know my students? She said, all your students act alike and all of them act like you. I said, no, ma'am, that's not true. And she went to telling me some of the things that they did, and I had to laugh, and I said, really? She said, yes, I can tell your students. They've come over every year, and every year I know your kids. We don't realize it, but we color what our students do. And there's no greater feeling than years later when your students come back to you and tell you that you were the one who influenced them to become an educator, or you influenced what they do. I have several of my former students who are teachers now, and I have to laugh when I watch it because I'm told quite often that they mirror the same behavior that I had in my classroom. So good or bad, your students are going to mirror those expectations and those behaviors that you have. Please take high expectations into your classroom. Let your students know that you expect more. If you expect more, they're going to give you more. Let's make sure we are demonstrating good behavior and high expectations. And one of the ways that you shift that mindset from thinking they can't do and that you're not doing as well as you can, talk to yourself. Do your self-talk in the morning before you walk into that classroom, before you get out of your car, your vehicle, whatever it is, and if you walk to work. Like I know some teachers that stay so close to school that they walk to work. Talk to yourself about how you're feeling. Talk to yourself about the things in which are going to happen in your classroom that day. Tell yourself that you can do it. Hey, I'm a darn good teacher. I always tell myself, hey, I'm teacher of the year. Teacher of the year. Classroom phenomenal. Teacher guru. Whatever you have to tell you to get you ready to face those students, that's what you do. But you make sure that you have positive self-talk. You may also want to surround yourself with some positive co-workers. If you're around negative Nancy all day, If Nigga Nancy is calling you on the phone before you can get to work, if Nigga Nancy is calling you when you get home from work, you might want to cut the phone off or stop answering her calls, because the way she is feeling is influencing the way you feel. I'm not telling you to kick her to the curb and not be her friend anymore, but you have to have some positivity somewhere. There have to be some positive friends involved with you. Our job is hard enough. We don't need to be getting on the phone complaining and talking to somebody else that's complaining about our job all day. I have a person, a family member, I'll say that, who goes to work every day, and she comes home every day and she fusses and complains to us about what happened at work. And trust me, we don't want to hear it. We don't. But we have to be positive. Surround yourself with some positive coworkers. Another thing you can do, revisit your why. Why did you become an educator? Why did you become a teacher? Why did you go into this profession? Please don't tell me it's because your mom told you to, because that is the answer for some people. Because one thing I know is definitely not for the money, because we don't make very much money. Revisit your why. When you're shifting your mindset, when you're changing who you are, when you're transforming yourself into that phenomenal teacher that you are, the one that you dreamed about being, the one that you know that you can be, change the way you think. Revisit your why. Talk to yourself. Talk to yourself with some positive tones. Talk to yourself with some encouragement. Encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. You can't just call Sue and say, Sue, encourage me. Sue may not be in an encouraging mood today. You have to encourage you. Shift that mindset. Something that works for me, I have to listen to positive music before I come to work. I have to listen to some upbeat, something that's getting me calm, it's getting me in the mood to go into that classroom and be the phenomenal teacher that I am. And you might need to find you some music to help transform how you think before you go into that room. You don't want to go in there with all that doom and gloom. My next suggestion is to get you a gratitude journal. Begin to journal about the good things that have happened to you this school year. No, every year is not going to be a phenomenal year. Every day is not going to be a phenomenal day. But find something positive that happened the day before in your class, or find something positive that just happened at your house or wherever it is. Find something to be grateful for. Find something to focus on. Find something to hold on to. Maybe you have that one student that needs you or that you think is absolutely great. Think about that child. Focus on them. Well, if you have to teach your class just for them, then teach your class just for them. Whatever you need to do in order to transform you and transform your mind so you can be a phenomenal teacher, so that your classroom can be the dynamic place that it is, so that you can lead your students with love, care, consistency, and understanding. As an English teacher, I'm often asking my students to do journals. Journaling makes them think and helps them to reflect. You might want to consider doing some journaling yourself. Journal about the things that you want to accomplish for the year or that you have accomplished. Do some journaling. This offers you a positive, free space in which you can talk about what is going on with you. We hear a lot about visualization, oftentimes in the secular world when they're talking about manifestation. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about shifting our mindset, shifting who we are. And if that's something that you need to do, then visualize yourself walking into your classroom. Visualize yourself getting up there doing that lesson or presentation or whatever it is you're doing for the day. Visualize yourself being successful. Visualize yourself having high test scores come in. Visualize yourself sitting there years later at your student's graduation or whenever. I teach middle school and elementary, so sometimes it's years later. But maybe you teach high school. Visualize yourself at their graduation from high school. Visualize them telling you thank you for what you've done. Maybe they're graduating from doctoral school. Who knows? But visualize yourself sitting there and seeing the great works that you have done. And sometimes you will get to see that great work. I can remember one of my former students who came in and he would not have his homework many days. And he would tell me this long story about what all he had to do the night before. And he had to stay up and he had to help his mom and he had to go to church and he had to do all this stuff. I would sit there. Sometimes I knew he was telling me a story. But I would go, okay, all right, I'm going to extend you some grace today. And so I extended him some grace. I am so proud to say that now he is my senator. He's my senator. And I can remember when he was running for office, I kept looking at him, and he doesn't quite look like he did when he was a little boy. Because I had him about 7th grade, and now he's a grown man, and he has his own a daughter. I was like, this guy looks so familiar. And then I figured out, I said, wait a minute, this is my little boy from my classroom. And I went up to him one day, I said, hi, you remember? He said, Miss Shields. He said, yes, I remember you. You were one of my favorite teachers. He said, I just loved you. And I said, oh my goodness, my heart melted. You know how it is when your heart just melts. So I want to tell us, we have to be careful when we're in our classroom. We don't know who we're teaching. We may have the next president of the United States. I don't know what impact we're having on the lives of our students. I have a young lady who I taught when she was also in 7th grade. She was a very angry young lady. And she says, I told her this. She said, Miss Shields, you pulled me out of the classroom. You told me I had a nasty attitude. I said, did I really? Because I forgot what I said to her. It's been years ago. She says, yes, you told me I had a nasty attitude. And she says, I thank you so much. I thank you. I thank you. You helped me become who I am today. And she is now a successful young lady. She is a wonderful mom. She is so goal-oriented. She is a go-getter. She said she credits me with all of those things of helping her become who she is today, because she says I told her the truth about who she is. But I said all that again to say this. We have to make sure we're at our best. We have to make sure our expectations for our students are high. We have to build those positive relationships in order to be successful in our classroom. I want you to think about that today. As you're transforming your mind, you're transforming your classroom. As you're transforming your classroom, you help transforming the future, because every profession there is comes from us. So I thank you guys so much for listening. This has been LaWanda Shields with 2Q Classrooms. I'll see you guys in the next video.